Hey, thanks for joining me today. We are going to make a rag strip tree. And to begin with, you need 24 of the little tiny mini wood blocks from the Dollar Tree. And I'm using their liquid glue for the first time. And I'm not quite sure how I feel about it. I think it worked okay for this purpose, but I'm not, the jury is still out on the glue. I'll use it for some other things and try it again. But I wanted something that dried a little bit quicker, but it was okay. So it worked for this purpose. So anyway, as you can see, I'm putting a row of 3 together, and then I turn it and another row of 3, and then so anyway, I'll have a little base there with a hole in the middle. And I'm going to do this 3 times. So I'm just pressing them together and making sure they're flat and straight and glued together nicely where I want them. And I'll dry each one just briefly with my heat tool. And I'll set that aside while I do 2 more of those same exact things. Now I'm going to trace out that shape on a piece of cardboard. And this is going to be the base of it. You could use chipboard or whatever you might have on hand. I just had this little scrap piece of cardboard. So I'm cutting it out and making sure it fits nicely. I have to trim it up in a couple little areas. And I will hot glue that onto the base. So even if the liquid glue that I use from the Dollar Tree doesn't work super well, everything is going to be hot glued together anyway. So, because I will hot glue that onto the base, and then I will hot glue those other 2 wood pieces on top of this one. And this is going to be the little planter box or the base, whatever you want to call it, for our rag tree. So just hot gluing those nicely and securing them on and making sure they're all straight. And that's our little planter box. So now I'm just using regular white acrylic paint. And I'm going to paint the top and a couple sides and then dry that and then get the rest of it painted. I'm just doing one good coat all around it. Even painting the edge of the cardboard where it shows just slightly at the bottom. And I didn't distress the corners or edges or anything on this, but I still may. It would look cute either way, but I left it just painted white. So now you need one of the dowels from Dollar Tree. They come in a 4-pack, and so you just need one. And I'm hot gluing on the end, and I'm using this paper-covered floral wire that I got on Amazon, and the link to that will be below the video. Just securing the end on there with hot glue, and then I'm just going to go round and round and round. And then I hot glue every few loops. And push it down. I want it all down right next to each other. I'm just making the brown trunk of the tree. So I do this to about 4 inches or so. You can do as high or as low as you want to do it. Sorry, I keep moving off camera there. So as you can see, I go round and round and then I push it. Here I'm done. I went up about 4 inches, like I said, just hot gluing that end and securing it on. Making sure the other end is secure too. Okay, now it's ready to go down in my base. So I'm going to put a lot of hot glue down there to begin with. And I'll stick it down there, and I have to hold it, and I'm adding more glue around the sides of it just to really give it a good firm hold. And then you have to hold it straight for a little bit until the glue starts setting up, or it'll start leaning to one side or the other. I'm trying real hard to keep it straight. So now I've got 4 different fabrics that I tore into about strips about 3/4 inch wide, in between that and an inch. And I started off making piles of 11 inches and 9 inches and 7 inches of each. But I don't use the 7 inches at all. I tore those off for nothing. They were actually too short. They didn't hang down long enough, and they were too short to work with to tie the knot around the pole. So anyway, I had to cut more strips of 11 and 9 inch, but I only used about 3 of each of 11 inches. And so I tie them on there in a knot. I just go in that order, the plain green, the green with a pattern, then a little bit of red, and then another green. And I just keep going in that order. And each time you knot one on, you have to push it down as hard as you can. Just keep pushing them down and turning it, making the knots on different sides, rotating where the knots land. And so you do all the 11 inch first, and then you do the rest 9 inch. And just keep tying them on, pushing them down, rotating your stick so the knots aren't all on the same side. You want them to, the ends of the colors and patterns to be in different spots around the tree. So you just keep doing this, and I keep going off, almost off camera. I apologize. So there you can see I had to cut a bunch more because I wasn't using those little shorter pieces. So I'll try and think of something else I can use those for. So as you can see, I'm tying them on, and then I push it down as hard as I can. And this project was really hard to keep on camera. So I'm at the very top. I'm putting that last piece on, so I'm hot gluing that one on so they don't slide off the dowel. And I've got other pieces, so I tie them in around just random spots where I can see they needed some more fullness. So here I'm tying one on, and in a moment I lay it down and tie a couple more on. Just where I can see it needs extra. And then what I decided to do is my leftover strips after this one, I just tie in a knot before I put them on the tree, and then I just kind of stick them in there and glue the knots on in random places, just for a little extra fluff. Now I have a little wooden star that I paint kind of a golden yellow color. Give it a dry, and then I'll paint the other side. You can sand it or distress it if you want. I didn't with this piece. So I'm just drying it. Now I'm going to trim it in a few different places, kind of taper it upwards. You just kind of use your own judgment, fluff it out, and pull some. You can just see where there's some that need a little shortened, because you want them a little bit shorter as you get higher to the top. So about there I thought it looked good, and I apologize again, I'm off camera. I need to work on that. So I'm just putting a little glue in the bottom center and sticking that on the very top of the wooden dowel. There you can see it's glued on. Now I have this little paper tag that I printed on craft paper. Just says Merry Christmas. And so I punched a hole in it, and I'm using my Distress Oxide ink by Tim Holtz, just going around all the edges. And then I'm using my scissor edge to really scruff up all the edges of the tag. I want it to look old and worn and used. Then I kind of fold it and scrunch it up and distress it a little bit more. Putting a little bit of twine on, and I'm going to glue that just below my yellow star at the top of the tree. Just kind of use my scissor end to kind of hold it on there. Now I'm wrapping the twine around my fingers, probably 3 or 4, I think about 4 times, leaving some tails long. Then I gather it in the center and wrap one of those tails around the center a few times. Even out the tails and just glue that on the center of where the tag is laying. Just hold that on there until it's good and dry. Fluff it, and there you go. There's our rag tree. I think it looks so cute. Appreciate you watching and tuning in today. Please like and subscribe to my channel and share with your friends. And you have a whimsical day, and be sure to check out the links below. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.